everyone, welcome back to Moto Next Hub. Today we're diving deep into one of the freshest arrivals in Suzuki's lineup, the 2026 Suzuki GSX-8T. We'll break down what makes this bike stand out from engine and performance, to design and features and whether it delivers on the hype. Let's start with the heart of the bike. Under the tank sits a 776cc liquid-cooled parallel twin engine. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2 the bore and stroke measure 84.0 mm 8 tilde minus 70.0 mm, with a compression ratio of 12.8 to 1. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2 what that means for you, a modern, robust engine that balances enough displacement for confident highway cruising while still being manageable in urban or twisty road conditions. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2. SuzukiCycles.com +2. SuzukiCycles.com +1. Motorcycle specs +1. Peak power comes in at about 82 horsepower, around 61 kilowatts, at 8,500 revolutions per minute, and maximum torque is 78 Newton-meters, 57.5 pounds-to-feet, at 6,800 revolutions per minute. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2 Suzuki opted for a 278 degrees crank-gear, giving the twin a somewhat V-twin-like character, punchy low and mid-range, smooth delivery, and a bit of that exhaust pulse you expect from a more aggressive engine. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2 additionally, a cross-balancer helps keep vibrations down while keeping the engine compact so you get smoothness without bloating the chassis. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2. Cycle News +2. Total Motorcycle +1. Total Motorcycle +1. For driveline and transmission, GSX-8T uses a 6-speed constant mesh gearbox, with a no-ring drive chain as final drive. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2 standard across the board, but multi-plate clutch electric start fuel injection, for crisp throttle response. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2. SuzukiCycles.com +1. SuzukiCycles.com +1. Switching gears, let's talk chassis, suspension and how it handles. The GSX-8T is built on a steel frame and subframe, with a lightweight aluminum swing arm. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2 up front you get inverted kib telescopic forks, and at the rear, a kib monoshock with preload adjustment via the linkage setup. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2 the geometry is pretty balanced, about 1,465 mm wheelbase, seat height around 815 mm, A32N, and the ground clearance still to 145 mm. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2. Motorcycle specs +1. SuzukiCycles.com +1. Motorcycle specs +1. This setup delivers a riding posture that's neither too aggressive nor too laid back. A comfortable, upright street, roadster stance that works well in real-world commuting, weekend rides, or longer trips. Steering feels responsive, but stable at speed. A good compromise between the agility of a lighter bike and steadiness of a bigger one. Braking and tire setup also underscore this bike's balanced purpose. Up front there are twin 310mm discs with radial mount Nissan 4-piston calipers, ABS equipped. Rear has a 240mm disc with a single piston Nissan caliper, also ABS. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2 the tires are Dunlop Road Sport 2XA 120/70 ZR17 up front, 180/55 ZR17 at the back. A tubeless, ready for sporty but stable handling. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2. Cycle News +1. SuzukiCycles.com +1. Now, on to design and aesthetics. Perhaps where the GSX-8T really shines for many riders. Suzuki markets this model under the theme retro spirit, next generation performance. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2 what that translates to, a nod to classic naked, standard bikes of yesteryear, wrapped in thoroughly modern execution. Cycle News +1. At the front, you get a mono-round LED headlight, retro-inspired, but efficient and bright. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2 the bodywork is minimalistic yet muscular, a sculpted fuel tank that merges into a two-piece seat, clean lines, and a short, upswept muffler that keeps the side profile neat and avoids overly long exhaust pipes dragging the design down. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2. Auto Evolution +1. Total Motorcycle +1. Color choices in the lineup include candy burnt gold, metallic matte black, and metallic matte steel green, each giving the bike a different vibe, from classic street naked to a bit more subtle and sophisticated. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2 on the 8T. The forks are finished gold, on certain colorways, which adds a subtle premium touch that stands out. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2. SuzukiCycles.com +1. Total Motorcycle +1. But it isn't just looks. The cockpit and features show Suzuki took modern rider expectations seriously. Instead of analog gauges, GSX-8T gets a fully modern color TFT screen. This display gives you speedometer, tachometer, gear position, selected riding mode or traction control settings, all vital for today's riders. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2. Total Motorcycle +1. Electronics and rider aids come standard too. There's a bidirectional quickshifter, blipper up and down, ride-by-wire throttle, ride mode selector, power modes A, B, C or similar, and traction control with multiple settings, plus off. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2 also on board, easy start system, low RPM assist, useful in city riding, and a USB Type-C socket for charging, handy if you ride with a phone or GPS device. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2 Suzuki pairs that with a compact, lightweight lithium-ion battery, from A Power, designed for reliability, long life, and minimal self-discharge. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2. Cycle News +2. Total Motorcycle +1. Total Motorcycle +1. Fuel tank capacity is 16.5 liters, about 4.3 US gallons, a modest, but enough for reasonably long rides between refuels thanks to the efficiency of the engine. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2. SuzukiCycles.com +1. Now a price. In the US, the MSRP for the GSX-8T is $10,649. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2 according to a Pakistani price listing, import/approximate figure. This translates roughly to around PKR 3,024,200, though that likely doesn't include import duties, taxes, and other costs, so actual on-road price in Pakistan may vary. IDRSS inverted question mark 1/2. Cycle News +1. Aeroils, O section O ± O section O Husu O squared. So what are the unique selling points of the GSX-8T? It blends classic naked, standard bike styling with modern performance and technology, a rare combination where you don't have to compromise one for the other. The 776cc parallel twin with 278° crank gives a riding feel that's torquey, fun, and usable across a wide rev range. Great for city, commuting, and highway. A versatile handling, braking, and chassis balance offer a stable yet nimble ride. Accessible for intermediate riders but satisfying for experienced ones. Modern electronics, traction control, ride modes, quickshifter, TFT dash, USB charging, all features you'd expect on far pricier bikes. Clean, minimalist aesthetic with retro-inspired touches, LED round headlight, sculpted tank, compact exhaust, appealing to riders who care about looks as much as performance. If I were you as a reviewer, I'd highlight that the GSX-8T isn't going after hardcore superbike buyers. Instead, it's aiming at riders who want a do-it-all bike, stylish enough for casual weekend rides, powerful enough for highway cruising, modern enough for daily commuting, and classic enough for those who appreciate retro soul. Of course, no bike is perfect. The 16.5-liter tank means frequent fuel stops on longer trips compared to some larger tours, and while 82 horsepower is plenty for most roads, it may feel modest if you're used to liter-class machines. But for what it offers, a balance, style, and everyday usability, a GSX-8T strikes a sweet spot. In summary, the 2026 Suzuki GSX-8T represents a smart, well-rounded package. It offers a modern, Capable engine, a balanced chassis, enough tech to satisfy contemporary riders, and timeless looks that set it apart from the overly aggressive, slab-sided nakeds. Whether you're a new rider wanting something accessible yet premium, or a seasoned biker looking for a versatile all-rounder, the GSX-8T is definitely worthy of attention. That's it for today's review. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the GSX-8T, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more, because we've got a lot of bikes coming up on Moto Next Hub. Drop a comment if you want us to compare GSX-8T with some of its direct rivals, or cover how it fares on actual road tests. Ride safe, stay tuned, peace.